everyone. Today we're going to teach Andrew how to talk like a Utahn. So go ahead with that first word, Andrew.
All right, the first one we have is fry sauce. So I'm guessing that is like ketchup mixed with something. You know, you dip your fries in. I don't know exactly what, but some kind
Yeah,
of Utah ketchup.
yeah, you pretty much got it right. You got it right the first time. It's so most fast food places in Utah offer fry sauce. There's a kind of a variation from restaurant to restaurant, but it's usually ketchup mixed with mayonnaise. That's the base, and then some people add in like pickle juice or pickle relish. Sometimes I think there might be some other little secret. Sometimes they mix in a little barbecue sauce. It's
Okay.
different from restaurant to restaurant, but basically ketchup and mayo is like what it is.
I wonder if I can get my hands on any of that down here, or if it's just only available in Utah.
So Utahns, when they travel somewhere else, will ask a restaurant for a packet of mayo and a thing of ketchup, and they will mix their own. I've
I
seen
do that
people.
too. I
I
do
do
that
that. Yeah,
too.
I
Yeah.
do. I do this every time.
Okay.
I love it. Some people think it's disgusting. I think it's great.
They don't know how to
I
eat
think it's
fries.
awesome.
They're missing out.
They're missing out.
Uh, all
Definitely.
right. Well, staying in the food world, the next one is funeral potatoes, which sounds dark and
Mm.
grim, but funeral potatoes. I'm thinking of like a tombstone, like a weird name for a tombstone. That makes no sense. I have no idea. Like, it's kind of shaped like a potato. I don't know.
So funeral potatoes, when someone dies in Utah and you have your funeral and everything, if you're a member of the LDS community, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints, also known as Mormons, if you're a member of that community, you go to the church house after the funeral or for the funeral sometimes, and of course they lay out like a big potluck kind of buffet for everybody, right? And funeral
Mhm.
potatoes are kind of the casserole that everybody knows how to make in Utah. So it's you start with typically hash brown potatoes. You
Mhm.
can cheat and just buy the frozen ones, or like the diehards, like grate their own or dice their own potatoes from scratch. I never did that, but if you start with the potatoes, then often it's like a mix of, it sounds gross, it's cream of chicken soup, a can of cream of chicken soup, and like a pint of sour cream, and you mix them all together in a sauce.
Trying to imagine the taste as you describe it.
It sounds yucky. It's actually really good. So then you mix it in with the potatoes, and then you grate a whole bunch of cheese in there, like cheddar cheese or like Colby Jack or something. You stick it in a casserole dish, and then usually people either crumble corn flakes or potato chips over the top, and you bake it, and it turns into this like gooey, cheesy potato dish. It's actually really good comfort food. It's super yummy.
I'm looking it up and it looks delicious, actually.
Right? It's really actually super tasty. And like everyone has little variations on it. If you've ever been to Cracker Barrel, they have something kind of similar. They have like a hash brown casserole that's kind of the same, but
Hmm.
it doesn't have all the sour cream. It doesn't have as much fat and calories. So
Yeah,
you
it's
got to
just
amp it up in Utah.
potatoes and dairy. It sounds like
Yeah,
I'm with
it's
it.
really good stuff. Like, I mean, like I would make it for my kids all the time when they were growing up, like just for
Nice.
dinner. You don't have to have a funeral to
I'm
have
glad it's not just for
potatoes.
funerals. That could be bad.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so let's move to the next one, I guess. Swig slash twisted sugar. Sounds like a drink, like a Mountain Dew times 100, maybe something like that.
That's pretty accurate. Yeah. So Utah has a large population of people who don't drink alcohol.
Uh-huh.
And so, like if we were going to go to a restaurant, we'd maybe order a cocktail, right? And you get your little mixers, right? And you have all kinds of cute named cocktails with the different mixes of things. That's kind of what Swig is and Twisted Sugar. They're these places where you go, they basically just sell soft drinks. They usually have like a little selection of like sugar cookies and other like little snacky things, but it's not a restaurant per se. It's mostly just drinks.
Okay.
And people will like go down the road, like around the corner, waiting in line at the drive through for these things. So
Wow.
you go in the morning, and instead of getting coffee, because Mormons don't drink coffee, if you don't drink coffee, you get your caffeine, you get a 32-ounce swig, and you can get some. I know, does that sound awful? It's not our, I think it's probably not our best feature in Utah, but it's super popular. So you like one of the really popular ones is called a dirty diet Coke. And all it is Diet Coke with
Mhm.
ice, like in a big old cup, and then they add some pumps of like coconut syrup. So like
Interesting.
the syrups they have at like Starbucks, coffee shops and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So those syrups come in like a million flavors.
Right.
So like you can get strawberry and orange and coconut and like all kinds of weird like cotton candy flavors, like any kind of weird syrupy flavors, like you would do on a snow cone or like in a coffee drink.
Right.
You can add that to different sodas. So if it's a dirty whatever, a dirty Coke or a dirty Dr. Pepper or a dirty diet Dr. Pepper, if you're getting really fancy,
You get
it's just
wild.
that soda with some
Oh my
coconut
god,
in it.
that leaves so much room to like experiment. I want to try like Fanta with like I don't know.
Yeah. So like you can make up your own, or of course these restaurants have a menu, just like a cocktail menu at a restaurant. So, you get the sunrise or the endless summer or the whatever. And it's just like, a mix of soda and flavorings. So
Nice, I love it. I
it's a
want to try
big thing
that.
in Utah.
And
Yeah.
I can bring my own little flask and give it a little.
Well, I mean, that's what some of us would do. I mean, I would be like, and some vodka.
It
But
just
they
needs
don't do
one
that at
thing.
the Swig. Yeah. It's not, but, it's kind of like mixology for non drinkers
Yeah, I like that. That's
who
awesome.
love sugar.
A little fun for everyone.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. The next one we have here is Pioneer Day. Um, maybe I'm not gonna overthink it. It's just like a holiday to celebrate the pioneers.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
I think what people that aren't from Utah don't understand about Pioneer Day is that it is a holiday that is like right up there with like there's like Christmas, Easter, 4th of July, and the 24th of July, which is Pioneer Day. It's like it rivals the 4th of July.
Oh,
So
we
in
just passed
Utah,
it.
yeah, in Utah, all the big parades are really usually on the 24th instead of the 4th. The 4th is like, oh, yeah, yeah, whatever, birth of the country. But then there's when the pioneers arrived, and that's like the day they celebrate. So,
Wow,
yeah,
interesting.
Brigham Young took his pioneers from Nauvoo, Illinois, all the way across the country to the Salt Lake Valley. And when they got there, he famously stood on this overlook, looking over the Salt Lake Valley, and said, "This is the right place." And all of the pioneers are like, "Cool, let's start trying to plant stuff so we don't starve to death."
They're like,
That kind
thank
of thing,
God we're here finally.
right? And then
Well,
so
what was
there's
his
like
name? What's the dude's name?
Brigham Young. So he
Brigham
was
Young. Oh,
he
okay.
was the leader of the Mormon Church at the time when they got there. And so
Gotcha.
he was kind of responsible for settling the valley. And
Gotcha.
well,
What did they do? Got to do like fireworks and like hot
oh
dog
yeah,
eating contests like the rest of the country,
oh
or
yeah, it's just like the 4th of July,
okay.
except they have a big parade, and the parade like has like covered wagons and like um, kids will dress up in like pioneer clothes, like bonnets and dresses, or like kind of like pioneer reenactment stuff.
Ooh, that sounds
Yeah,
nice.
but it's really just like the 4th of July, like fireworks and cookouts, and everyone gets the day off. It's a state holiday. So it's kind
Nice.
of like 4th of July is before that, obviously. And people are like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But let's get to the 24th.
It's just like the warm up.
One fun fact, if you live in Utah and you're not a member of the Church of Latter day Saints, you're like, oh, Pioneer Day, whatever. So there's another thing they call it, which is Pie and Beer Day. Do with that what you will. Just saying.
I love it. Utah, you guys got a lot of holidays.
Right?
That's the way.
Food based holidays too.
Yeah. All right. I think we're moving off the food. We got Lagoon now. I'm guessing that's not food. Is that just like a big pool, like maybe the community pool or something? The community swimming spot?
So kind of it started out that way. It's Utah's amusement park. We don't have like a great big like Disney or Disney World or like, a big huge amusement park. It's a smaller one, but it has some cool rides. It started like I think in the late 1800s, right by the Great Salt Lake, and so there was like bathing in the Great Salt Lake where you can float and stuff, and
Hmm.
then they moved it to just a town just north of Salt Lake City, and it's just got rides, it's got roller coasters and stuff. It has one of the oldest wooden roller coasters in the world, which is kind of cool. It's like
Wow.
yeah, it's like from 1920 or
Oh my
something like
God.
that, like goes way back.
That scares me
So
a little in terms of roller coasters, but
it's well, oh yeah, and like riding on a wooden roller coaster is very different from the regular steel
yeah,
roller coasters
it's
in
way
that like it's
scarier.
super bumpy and creaky, and it sounds
Hmm.
like you might just fall to your death, like the whole thing will collapse like a house of
Yeah.
cards. It hasn't ever, so it must be safe. But yeah, that's where you go. That's where you go hang out with your kids. Have a good
Nice.
time,
Lagoon sounds like a good time.
play on the rides, buy overpriced food, and then your
Uh
kids
huh.
throw up afterwards. I don't know. It's fun stuff.
Oh man. All right, fantastic. Next one is grid system. Hoping that's the roads, just like nice, perpendicular, easy to follow and understand roads. Is that the case in
Yes,
Utah?
ding, 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 100%. Yeah, going back to Brigham Young, he kind of had this vision, and there were other cities back east that had the same sort of setup, but everything is centered around the Salt Lake City Temple, which makes sense if the Mormons are going to build it. Then the temple is sort of zero, and then all of the roads go 100, 200, 300 east,
Okay.
100, 200, 300 south, etc., like that. So when you're in Utah, all of the towns are set up that way. Salt Lake has its grid system, and then every other little town has like a main street that is probably going to be zero. And then they kind of laid their town out in the same way. So you'll hear people say, "Oh, I live on 100 East and 3rd South." And they mean 100 East, 300 South. So people get a
Hmm.
little confused, but it's also like it's easy to find your way around in
Yeah,
Utah.
once you learn it, I feel like that's super useful. I am like famously bad with directions. I get lost in my own backyard. So like I'd
Same.
like a nice system like that. Some
Yeah.
places have like roads that like wine and stuff. I'm like, I can't even.
Right. One
I'm
minute
not
you're
even
going
try.
east and all of a sudden you're going south and you're
Yeah,
like, wait, wait,
exactly.
what just happened?
I
Yeah,
give up.
I'm the same.
Sugar House is our next one. And okay, never mind. I'm not gonna skip to the next one. Sugar House, a restaurant of sorts, like for desserts, maybe like where you get your funnel cakes and stuff. I don't know.
You can probably well, you can definitely get some sugar in Sugar House. But yeah, I mean, Utah's obsession with sugar, man. We just love sugar. So it's actually a neighborhood in Salt Lake. So it's a really cool neighborhood. Like a lot of houses built right after World War II, these cute little brick houses, big trees on the streets and stuff. There's a really nice park there.
Hmm.
But the reason it's called Sugar House is that back in the day, before there were houses there, there were fields of sugar beets. And that's where the pioneers got sugar. They grew sugar beets. It's like a great area to grow those, apparently. I've never
You
had a
grow.
sugar beet. I don't know,
What
but
even is a sugar? Is that like a regular sugar cane thing, or?
it's like a beet. Like it's actually a beet, but
Oh,
somehow they like could pull sugar out of it. Like it's super sugary. I don't know. I've
interesting.
never seen a sugar beet, but they grew a
Interesting.
ton of them in Utah, like way back. The pioneers grew a lot of them. So that's like where they got their sugar. And I think the sugar tastes like regular sugarcane sugar, I think. I don't know.
Hmm. It's not like purple, like a beet or anything like
It
that.
might
That'd
be.
be cool. That'd be pretty
I don't
sweet.
know. I don't know if you can. Man, I don't even know if you can buy it like
Hmm.
anymore. But they used to grow tons of it. Then they took all the fields out, built houses, and now it's like this cute neighborhood
Right.
with cute restaurants and sugary desserts. I'm sure.
Well, that's good too. Gotta have
Yeah.
that. Okay, the next one is sloughing, and that's what I was chuckling at because it just sounds hilarious. I don't know. I'm so my mind went to like huffing, and I'm like, okay, it can't be like something like that. Sloughing, I don't. It's a great verb. I have no idea. I'm not gonna guess because who knows where my mind will go. But enlighten me.
It's so weird. Until I left Utah, I did not know that that was just a word that everybody used. It just means skipping school.
I was gonna
What
kind
do
of
you
guess
call that? What
that.
do you call that?
Yeah,
Like, what do you call that where you're from? When you cut class in high school and you go and hang out at the local burger joint and flirt with girls, like
yeah.
what was that called?
I think it was just called playing hooky. I feel
Playing
like there's other
hooky.
names, but like nothing's coming to me right now. That's the main one.
Yeah, in Utah, I don't know why it's called that, but it's sloughing. It's like let's slough math and go get a burger and hang
Yeah.
out with the cool kids. That's
Can we
what you do.
slough work? Are we sloughing work right now? Kind of.
We totally are. Don't shh. We're not. Yeah, don't. Maybe they'll edit this part out.
I like that sloughing. That's great.
Sloughing.
All right. The next one is the DI, and that sounds to me like a landmark, like a building, like where everyone gets together. Like, oh, I'll see you at the DI tonight.
It's kind of a landmark if you loved thrift shopping. It's totally a landmark. So, like in most of the country, there's Goodwill, right? Like
Hmm.
Goodwill is a huge thrift store chain, and you go and a great big huge store, and you can get like clothes and furniture and stuff like secondhand, right? I think there are a couple of Goodwill stores in Utah, but mostly it's the Deseret Industries. That's the full name of it.
Hmm.
Again, it was like started by the LDS Church, but it's just these huge thrift stores, and that's where you go donate your stuff when you're moving or you're like cleaning out your closets. You go donate stuff. You can also go there and like find cool secondhand furniture or vintage stuff sometimes. But nobody calls it Deseret Industries. That's
Right.
like
It's not cool.
so formal. So it's just like, hey, I'm going to the DI. You want to come? Let's go see if we can pop some tags or whatever.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome. The DI.
get
All
your
right.
deals. It's DI.
Good to know. Good to know. The next one I have here is spaghetti bowl. Um, I'm thinking of like a football game. Like there's the Rose Bowl, like the Orange Bowl. Maybe you guys have like you play against like an Italian team and it's a spaghetti bowl.
I love that. That's what the spaghetti bowl should be. They should change that.
Sounds right.
Oh my gosh. So right before the Olympics in the early 2000s, so we have like two freeways that go through Utah. There's I-15, which goes north south, and I-80 cuts through the state east west. And that's kind of it. Like there's only two freeways, give
Mhm.
or take. That's not exactly right, but the two major freeways. So when they decided they were going to start have the Olympics in Utah, they're like, we got to amp up our game and make the freeways bigger and stuff for all the crowds of people. So they just made this huge interchange. So it's literally just an interchange where like the roads I-80 and I-15 are like you can, there's just it's like curvy and there's ramps and things. And when they
Okay.
put that in, Utahns were like, this is
Yeah.
scary because it was kind of scary. It was like we weren't used to
Yeah.
having a big freeway
You're
system
used to
like
your
that.
grids too. Like
Yeah, yeah.
like
Yeah. So it's all twisty and, I feel like there were a lot of traffic accidents when that first came in. Everyone was like, have you driven through the spaghetti bowl lately?
oh
It's
my god.
terrifying.
That sounds ominous now.
I think everyone's used to it now. That was a long time ago, but the spaghetti, people still call it the spaghetti bowl. It's not pasta, unfortunately.
Oh, boo.
I
All right,
know.
it's just traffic jam basically.
Yeah.
Uh, the Holy War. Okay. I'm guessing it's not like a religious conflict of any sort. It's probably something like I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here.
It's kind of a religious
It
conflict,
is okay.
honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a football game. Going back to spaghetti bowl like totally faked you out,
That
but
was close.
we
Yeah.
do have one of those football games. So in Utah, the two largest universities are University of Utah, which is public school, and my alma mater. So go Utes. And then there's also BYU, which is Brigham Young University. That's privately owned by the church,
Mhm.
and so yeah, the BYU football team and the U of U football team used to be in the same conference. They used to be like I think it's Mountain West Conference, and they would play every year. And people called it the Holy War because students from both schools there. That's the big rivalry, right? So you wear your blue if you're BYU, you wear your red if you're a Ute, and you go and play the game. The University of Utah changed to the Pac-12 conference. I think
Okay.
that's what it's called. And
Yeah.
so they're not even in the same conference anymore, but they still play the game just like for fun once a year
Oh,
because
nice.
people get so riled up. You wear your blue or red to work that day to show where, your true colors, and people get all
Oh, I
like you
know.
choose a side. It's worse than like politics.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I'm from Florida,
there.
so we had the same thing with the Gators and the Seminoles and the Hurricanes.
Yep.
You
Yep.
gotta claim your team. So who's the Utes are the best? The
Well, I
Utes.
think so. Yes. I
Screw
mean,
BYU.
clearly, yeah. I'm a Utes fan, but
Do you guys have a thing you do at games? Like, and the Gators will go like this, the Seminoles go like that. Do you guys have any like hand things you do?
okay. So I have to admit that I've only ever been to one U of U game.
Hmm.
So I think they sing the song, the
Right.
youth song, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't know. They probably have all kinds of traditions I have no idea about. People wear face paint, like just with their school colors and things, and
Hmm.
they do that on both from both teams. It's just like
That's great.
typical weird, crazy football things. I think.
We love our football, no matter what state.
Yes, but boy, on like the day they play that game, everyone becomes like somewhat of a fan. You have to show your colors, and people are like,
Right.
"Which side are you on?"
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't even like football, but whatever. I'm wearing red today.
Exactly. Join the
Yeah,
party. All right. Point of the Mountain. Is this one of the mountains? And Salt Lake has mountains, right? I'm not crazy.
so many mountains.
So many
Yes.
mountains. This is
Yeah.
probably like the head honcho mountain, the highest point of it.
You would think, right, that it would be like a cool peak you could just climb and you'd be like, I'm
Yeah.
at the point of the mountain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
actually the opposite. So instead of like the point like this, it's the point going out this way. So the mountain range kind of comes down, and it used to make a fairly sharp point, I think, as it came
Mhm.
down. Now there's like a sand and gravel pit that's been at that area for like ever. And so it's not so much a point anymore, it's kind of a stub. But it also like separates Salt Lake County from Utah County is like once you pass the point of the mountain, it goes right down right to I-15, which is how you get from one side to the other.
Uh-huh.
So it's like when you get to point of the mountain, you're like, oh, I'm entering Utah County now. There also was, until very recently, a prison there. The Utah State Prison was kind of right in that same area. And so people would be like, Oh yeah, like he totally murdered that woman, and now he's at Point of the Mountain, which is like
Ooh,
what people would call the prison. It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
called that; it was the Utah State Prison, but Point of the Mountain. If you're at the Point of the Mountain,
That sounds way scarier
you
and
did
more
something really
badass.
bad.
Like,
That's like the
yeah.
super max of Utah, I think. Like you're a bad dude if you're at Point of the Mountain. Yeah,
Oh man, all right. Point of the mountain, steer clear.
yeah.
Um,
Mind your manners.
yeah, exactly. Zion. What is Zion? I don't even like know what that means historically. Oh, it's the national park, right? You guys have the big park. That's out there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we totally do. But you can't pronounce it like that. It's not the Matrix.
Zion.
So in the Matrix, it's Zion, right?
Hmm.
In Utah, it's Zion.
Zion.
Zion
Oh, I like
Zion
that.
National Park, and some people also call it Zions. Oh, I went to Zions. No, no, you didn't. You went to Zion National Park. So you can tell if you're talking to someone who's not a local when they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love Zion." You're
Oh
like,
my god, that's
"Okay,
great. Dead giveaway.
yeah.
Zions.
Zion,
Kind of like
not with the S,
Zion.
the Zion, Zion."
Zion. It kind of
Then you
sounds a
sound
little
like a cool
Jamaican-y.
kid. You're like, "I
Okay.
went down to Zion and hiked Angel's Landing," and people will be like, "Wow, you're hardcore." Yeah, that's that's the way you want to say that.
Thank you for teaching me that. I don't know if I'll
Sure.
ever go, but that'll be a useful one.
It's worth a trip. It's very pretty.
Yeah. The next one, I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce right. Probably not. Tooele, Tooele, Tooele,
That's
some.
why it's on there. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard to pronounce.
I'm gonna go with Tooele, and I'm gonna guess that that's like I don't know what Tooele. It sounds like kind of like an insult. Like you call someone like, "Don't be such a Tooele."
It's awesome. Maybe Utahns will start calling people that as an insult. Maybe I don't know. But for the fine folks who live in Tooele, they probably wouldn't think it was very funny to be an
Oh
insult.
God,
But hi Tooele, we love you. So Tooele is just a town just west of it's just west of Salt Lake, and it's pronounced Tooele,
Tooele,
like Tooele, Tooele.
Tooele.
Yeah, I guess there's some nobody really knows for sure like where the name came from. Some people think it might have been like an old ghost shoot word that meant bear. There
Interesting.
also was some kind of weed that grows out there that was called like Tool or something, and so people think maybe that's where they got it. I don't think anyone agrees on where the name came from, but
Hmm.
no one
You
can
guys have a lot
pronounce
of.
it.
Do you have a lot of cities like named after like Native American, like kind of like in Florida? You know, we have like Opelika, Tuscaloosa. That's not in Florida, but you know, like, do you guys have those types of names in your
There,
cities?
there are some, honestly, like there are tons and tons of names, town names that came from the Book of Mormon, like
Hmm.
people in the Book of Mormon, like
Okay.
Bible characters. Only it's the Book of Mormon, which is just another set of scriptures for that church.
Hmm.
So there's like Nephi and Lehi, which are like they're like prophets in that
Right.
scripture. So there's lots
Oh,
of towns like that, and people are like, Nephi, what is that? I'm like, oh, it's like a Book of Mormon guy. I don't know.
just my favorite prophet.
He's my favorite prophet. Everyone should have a favorite prophet if they live in Utah, maybe. I don't know.
All right, fantastic. We are at our last one. I don't want this to end because I'm learning so
Wow, it's so
much,
much
but
fun.
yeah. This one is Golden Spike. And what could Golden Spike be? Maybe like a restaurant or like a famous like chain of something over there?
I wonder. There might be a restaurant called the Golden Spike. I wouldn't be surprised.
Sounds
Um,
tasty.
yeah, it does sound tasty. Like it would serve steaks, right? Like
Right.
it would be like a steak place, I think. There might be a restaurant called Golden Spike, but Golden Spike refers to so when they built the Transcontinental Railroad, it came together in Utah, which is pretty cool. So I think that was like I don't even know. I think I had a note here somewhere that told me, but yeah, I mean, they started in San Diego on the one side and I think Omaha, Nebraska on the other, and they built a railroad, right? So there were crews just building, 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 and it came together at Promontory Point in Utah. And it was a big celebration, obviously. Like when the railroads joined up, there was this huge ceremony, and the governor was there, and all kinds of important people, and whatever. And they had this like golden spike. It's like 16 karat gold or something, and it's like this big, like a railroad spike.
Right.
And someone official like drove it into the tracks, and they had a big celebration, like, oh, the joining of the Transcontinental Railroad, kind of a big
Wow.
deal. That spike, now they pulled it back out because it's gold, and they're like, no, somebody's
I was
just
gonna
going to
say,
come take this thing.
yeah,
So it's at I think it's at Stanford University in a museum, one of the big universities. I feel like it's Stanford. So
nice. That's pretty
yeah, that's
cool.
kind of cool. You can still go there. There's a whole They do reenactments there every once in a while. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of out by Great Salt Lake.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they kind of have like celebrations every year on the date that happened. And
Nice.
I don't
I
know
wonder if
what
they
date
have a
that
fake,
is.
if they have like a replica one there now instead of like the.
Yeah, probably. They're like, this is just spray painted. Don't steal it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
People still
Yeah,
steal it every few months, I feel like, probably.
maybe. Maybe.
Oh my God. Well, this has
Oh,
been awesome. I learned so much. I'm like a history nerd. So, like, picking up all these little pieces of information about Utah is fantastic. Thank you
awesome.
for teaching me.
You're welcome. Now you can visit and you can walk around and act like they'll just be like, wow, you're totally from
Yeah, I'm going to slough off to Zion. Zion.
here.
Zion. Nailed it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thanks. Have a good one.
See you. Bye bye.